What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Catch Up with Clayton. As always, I'm your host, Clayton. And it's been a while since we've talked because last time I was struggling. And if I'm being quite frank, I'm still kind of struggling a little bit. But we'll get into that. I'm going to give you my best. I kind of still just want to get this over with. I'll be straightforward with you because I don't know if you can hear, like, in my nasal congestion is still a little there. And so I'm kind of in the mindset of just getting this done with. I do want to give you guys the best show possible because I have 2 weeks to catch up on. But I just want to let you know that if it's struggling a little, all apologies, but we're still going to get you some good intel into this episode. So we're going to go over my thoughts on Costa Rica. I've got a book review for you guys. I've read this book, listened to the Audible on my way out from the States to Costa Rica. Super good. It's about money. It's about wealth. I got a couple of shout-outs of people that I've ran into who have actually already started listening to the podcast. So I'll shout out those guys. There is a little bit of an update in my Akashic record story. Got even weirder. Yeah, that's what I'll leave it at for now. And we'll get into that in a bit. I have a pretty interesting idea that I want to leave you guys with, a perplexing idea, but we'll get to that towards the end as well. I have update on my sickness as well. I figured out what was going on with that. And my travels again through Costa Rica. So let's just get into it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I know that the lighting's a little bit off, but it felt like you had to see some of the nice beauty behind me. I've been living with this view for the last few days, and it's absolutely incredible. So I'm coming to you from Puerto Jimenez. But how I got there is what we got to talk about. And that's my phone, which is a party foul, right? Let me get that for a sec. Interesting enough, it was my alarm to tell me that I needed to do this. Get you guys the hard-hitting intel. So, where were we? So we got to Costa Rica. It was super cool. We flew in, rented a car, drove to Jaco, Costa Rica from San Jose, about a 2-hour drive. Super cool town. And I was feeling energized. I was feeling great, on top of the world, like nothing was wrong. And we were staying at this hostel, Casa Jungla, which is actually a pretty dope hostel if you find yourself in Jaco. Highly recommend it. But my first takeaway from Costa Rica was kind of like the dampness of it, like super damp, kind of wet, like everything has this like musky feel to it, sort of. And I'm not crazy about it. It's not my particular thing. So just something to be aware of if you ever find yourself in Costa Rica. That humid AF, humid as fuck. Like even so much so that like the car we rented, it kind of had that like wet car smell because I don't know that it ever really fully gets dry. So I guess it's just a part of the like culture, part of the lifestyle once you get here. It's something to be aware of. And in the process of getting here, I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, which is actually a super cool book. And it echoed a lot of stuff that I had read in other books. And what this book talked about was basically how to become wealthy, how to make your money work for you. But it didn't really specifically talk about that. So Babylon was, I guess, a city or an empire years and years, thousands of years ago. And it was kind of around the Middle East area to this day, like around where Israel is and that whole area. Sorry, guys, I told you I'm struggling. And so what happened was they actually recorded a bunch of, sorry about the nature here, gets out of control sometimes, we can't do much about it. They recorded basically on the tablets, like all their knowledge, clay tablets, which were found and basically deciphered. Well, a lot of these clay tablets, they basically said about how they generated their wealth, how they created their wealth. And there was actually quite a few tablets that were about the person who was proclaimed to be the richest man in Babylon. And it was so beautifully put together because it basically had stories. And these clay tablets were basically stories that people had written. And so they were translated, and there were stories of the richest man explaining how he accumulated his wealth. And it was a little bit of a difficult read. I don't know if it's because I kind of was dazing in and out of it, but it seemed like the characters kept switching. And it might be because they kept changing between, what would they be called? Stories throughout. So that's something to check out, though. But I highly recommend it. Anyone who's trying to accumulate more wealth, who is in this place in their life where money has been lacking, because it echoes such similar sentiments that I've seen in other books, such as like the 70% rule, which was discussed in Happy Pocket Full of Money. So if you haven't seen that, I did a book review on that as well. So go find that. Damn, are these cicadas? That sound? Is that cicadas? They're wanting to make me, give me some effort here to get you guys this information. But honestly, I highly recommend the book. Anyone who's trying to accumulate wealth, trying to see more wealth, all that fun stuff. So check it out. 10 out of 10 recommend. It's pretty cool. I'll probably reread it at some point. It's more of a story base, right? So if you do more with like stories, then that's the book for you. Yeah, so I recommend it, especially if you're trying to get wealth. Moving along, we got some shout-outs. First shout-outs to people I met on the plane, Jane and Bill. Shout out to you guys. It was super fun talking with them. It sounds like they did a great job raising a beautiful family. And they were so fascinated to learn more. And so I was just talking to them on the plane about consciousness, about what I do. They were telling me about what they've done. And so it was a lot of fun. So shout out to Bill and Jane. Another shout out I got is Gabriella. We met at the hostel. We just hung out. She's a yoga teacher. We ran into each other at Casa Jungla. I told her about my podcast, and she started listening to it like the next day. Like she came up to me the next day and was like, "Hey, like I'm already like halfway through this episode you suggested me." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like that's crazy. So Gabriella, hopefully you've gotten through that one. Hopefully you like it because it was pretty wild. The Akashic record story update. I have my phone on me, and so maybe this makes the most sense. So on TikTok, let me set this up a little. First of all, I'm going to assume that you've listened to. First of all, I'm going to assume that you've listened to the like kind of the first part of all of this. That you've listened to. Sorry, I'm trying to find it on my phone. That you've listened to the first part of this whole Akashic record story. What happened to it? The guy delete his comments? What the fuck? Huh. Maybe this dude deleted his comments. Maybe he was fucking with me. That's interesting. Why would he delete his comments? Well, so I'm guessing this guy must have been a troll. But essentially what it was is I started posting about reincarnation on my TikTok. And this dude basically started saying about how, like he was a king in his past life, and then started asking me shit about my past life. And, honestly, I guess if he deleted his comments, he must have been a troll of some sort. But it seemed legit to me that he was like actually the king of that story that I was telling you guys with the porn and the whole shebang. Damn. So because he deleted that, I'm going to assume that, or maybe he got nervous. Maybe he got nervous and that's why he deleted it. But he basically was saying a lot of stuff that I didn't think anyone really knew. But I'm not doing a good job of telling the story. Still struggling if you can't tell. But I'm going to assume that maybe he was trolling me because I have put out a bunch of information on the podcast. And for him to go to the extent that he did, but it seemed genuine. He seemed curious about like these certain things, like being a king, and he wasn't leading, and I kind of led it. But maybe he's a good troll. I don't know. Long story short, he might have been the king who was in that story in a past life, in the past life. I really don't know for sure. I guess time will tell in the future if it was or wasn't. But damn, that was a super cool story though. But I guess he deleted his comment or something. But maybe deleted my comments too. Like, can you do that? I guess on TikTok maybe you can. Let's see. Where does that bring us to? Oh yeah. So I found out after recording that I thought it was food poisoning. Turns out it wasn't. Turns out it was the lovely COVID that everyone is so happy about. And that totally makes sense because I'm still fatigued to this day. I guess it would have been almost a little over a week ago that I would have had it initially. And it was pretty brutal. Definitely realized I need to get back on my vitamin Ds. Need to get back on my, vitamin train. Make sure that I'm taking care of all that fun stuff. And so, yeah, so we got healed. I got healed up. We rented a hostel or a hotel. It was an absolutely beautiful hotel, so that was super cool. Yeah, and so then started getting healed up. I guess I'm the best I can be. I guess also I got. We then flew. We went back to San Jose from Jaco, and from San Jose we then flew out to Puerto Jimenez, which is where I'm at now and where I'm recording this from, as you can see from the beautiful view behind me. And I've been struggling a little. My ears didn't pop whenever we came down off of the plane, and so I was dealing with that for the first 4 or 5 days, but now we're better. My ears are open, all that cool stuff. Yeah, so that's dope. Yeah, what else? Nothing really crazy. I did want to leave you on this because I was thinking about this for a little bit. I feel like this is something that's helpful for people to contemplate. Do you really want it all? All of your wishes, desires, goals. Do you really want it all right now? This is something really to think about. Don't just, oh yeah, obviously I want it all right now. It's like, all right, come on, you're not putting the effort into this. Think about it. Do you really want everything right now? Everything that you ever desire, do you want it all to experience it all in this moment right now? I'd venture to say, if you think about it long enough, the answer is probably not. Because what I realized is that if I had everything I desired now, there would be new things that I would desire after achieving those things. So what's the point of having it all right now? Because then I'm just going to put other things down. I'll put down other goals that then I'll just be wanting those and not be appreciating this. So there's really a lot of understanding and finding balance in the now and being present with the now. Being understanding that this is okay, that I'm going to grow, expand, yada, yada, yada. And more things will happen down the road. That's fine. And it kind of takes away a lot of pressure. A lot of the, why don't I have all of this now? Which really puts a lot of pressure on yourself. So I want to leave you with that. The only other thing is I want to tell you that I don't really have any plans for the next few episodes coming up. There's one person that I think I'm going to interview who is on this yoga retreat, so we'll figure out how to get that set up. I think I'm just going to do a couple solo episodes, or maybe just give you guys some time off, because I know I need it. I know I need time off because I've been struggling hard. But we're going to push through. I'm going to find a way. There's a will, there's a way. I'm going to make it happen. So I will be uploading some sort of content. I just don't know what. I really don't know what to put out for you guys. I have a couple ideas, but maybe I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it as solo episodes. I've got a couple ideas, so we're going to play around with it. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me rant as I have this whole facial congestion type deal going on. Hopefully you enjoy the background behind me. Hopefully that you can hear the ocean and the wildlife here, because it's absolutely insane. If not, well, I guess you got to move to Jaco. I guess you got to make a trip down to Costa Rica. So with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. I really don't have anything more to add. Kind of just mentally struggling at this point. Just want to get out of here. And I love you all, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week. Other than that, I will see you in the 6th dimension.